The new discoveries here at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre happened during a recent restoration around the tomb of Jesus. That's when excavators dug below the original level of the 4th century church.
Our tour guide told us that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, new archaeological excavations at the site have been revealed.
Jerusalem, the old city, a place where history doesn't just exist. It presses down on you. Within its maze of narrow streets, heavy with the smell of cardamom, dust and centuries of conflict, stands a structure that feels less like a place of worship and more like a fortress that has somehow survived the end of time. This is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It isn't simply a church, it's a wound carved into the surface of the earth. It has been torn apart by Persians, set ablaze by Arab armies, rebuilt by Crusaders, and endlessly divided inch by inch among 6 rival Christian factions. Inside, the air is dense with whispered prayers, drifting incense, and the breath of countless pilgrims. It's so heavy, it feels almost solid, as if you could reach out and touch it. At the center of this chaotic, ancient structure stands the edicule, a small chapel of pale pink marble. Modest in size, yet monumental in meaning. It marks the very heart of Christianity, the place where, according to tradition, the resurrection occurred. For 5 centuries, no one dared to look beneath the stone. For 500 years, a marble slab placed there in the 15th century was the only marker of what lay below. People accepted it on faith. No questions, no proof. Then, in October 2016, faith stepped aside, and science took over. A decision was made that left historians, theologians, and archaeologists around the world holding their breath. The tomb would be opened. The slab would be removed. Humanity would stare directly into the depths of time. Before we continue, we'd really appreciate your support. A like and a subscription mean more than you know. Thank you. Officially, the reason sounded almost mundane. The situation was dangerous, even catastrophic. The edicule was on the verge of collapse. The mortar between its stones had slowly turned to powder after centuries of exposure to the breath and touch of millions of pilgrims. Its walls were bowing outward under their own weight. The iron frame installed by the British in 1947 as a temporary fix was no longer enough to hold the structure together. At any moment, the shrine could give way, burying one of humanity's most sacred sites beneath rubble. But what began as a desperate engineering rescue quickly transformed into something far more gripping, an archaeological thriller tinged with mystery and awe. A team of scientists from the National Technical University of Athens, led by the formidable Professor Antonia Moropulo, often called the Iron Lady of Archaeometry, were given just 60 hours. 60 hours to do the impossible, while pilgrims, priests, and onlookers waited in silence beyond the police barriers, barely daring to breathe. As workers wearing protective helmets and respirators levered up the enormous marble slab, weighing hundreds of kilograms, using steel crowbars, an eerie silence swept through the church. The world seemed to stop. The only sound left was stone grinding against stone. No one knew what waited beneath. Nothing at all. A heap of rubble, a medieval fabrication, or something that could rewrite what we believe about events from 2,000 years ago. Then the slab shifted, and the first thing to hit the researchers wasn't a sight. It was a smell. So unexpected it made them step back in shock. It wasn't the stench of decay, nor the damp, moldy odor one would expect from a tomb sealed for centuries. There was no rot, no death. Instead, the air carried a rich, sweet, floral scent. A fragrance so distinct that the stunned Franciscan monks later documented it in their official reports. Chemists offered a rational explanation. They suggested the scent came from centuries of aromatic oils, wax, and frankincense poured onto the stone, slowly soaking deep into its pores over time. But those standing nearby told a different story. They said the fragrance didn't linger in the air. It surged outward in waves, as if it were rising from within, almost as though the earth itself had breathed out through the rock. And that strange aroma was only the beginning. Beneath the white marble slab, the team didn't find solid bedrock, but a thick layer of dense grey fill, construction debris packed tightly in place. The scientists began removing it with extreme care, centimetre by centimetre, using soft brushes and gentle vacuum tools to avoid damaging anything beneath. As the layer thinned, the tension grew. Then, just a few centimetres down, something unsettling happened. The modern equipment began to fail. This isn't a myth or a journalist's exaggeration. It's a documented fact recorded in the official technical reports of the National Geographic Expedition. As soon as the researchers neared the original rock surface, buried beneath centuries of layers, their sensitive instruments started behaving unpredictably. Ground-penetrating radar, designed to read the Earth itself, dissolved into nothing but meaningless static. Thermal scanners began registering heat signatures where none should have existed. Laser levels glitched. The screens of rugged industrial tablets flickered, then went dark. Professional video cameras, fully charged at the start of the shift, drained to zero within minutes. When drones were launched beneath the rotunda's dome to capture aerial footage, they suddenly lost control and crashed, as if they had struck an invisible barrier. Within a 2-metre radius of the burial site, the electromagnetic field behaved in ways no one expected. Skeptics on the scientific team were quick to offer logical explanations. Perhaps it was interference from the temple's aging, unshielded electrical wiring installed during the Ottoman era, or the influence of powerful transformers somewhere nearby. To test the theory, engineers cut all power to the area. The church was plunged into complete darkness. The wiring went silent, but the anomaly didn't disappear. Physicists then turned to another explanation, the piezoelectric effect. The limestone bedrock, compressed for centuries under the immense weight of the edicule and the towering dome above it, could generate electrical charges when that pressure changes, especially when a massive stone slab is removed. The pressure within the rock compressed its quartz crystals, generating an unusual field. Scientists saw physics at work, but the mystics and priests watching from behind the barrier saw something else entirely. To them, the tomb was resisting. It did not want to give up its secrets. It was defending itself. With their instruments unreliable, the engineers were forced to set aside modern technology and work almost blindly, much like archaeologists of the 19th century. They relied on simple mechanical tools, measuring tapes, flashlights, and their own eyes. They squeezed into the narrow gap between the inner and outer walls of the edicule, fully aware of the danger. If the ancient, decaying masonry failed under the vibrations, they could be crushed in an instant. Then they saw it. Beneath the layer of grey debris, something made them stop cold. Another slab, grey marble. Cracked down the middle, its surface rough and uneven, darkened by centuries of time. Etched into it was a cross, thin, elegant, and barely visible. A Lorraine cross. It was the unmistakable mark of the Crusaders, the 11th century, the age of King Baldwin and Richard the Lionheart. This meant the tomb had already been opened by the knights who captured Jerusalem in 1099. They too had looked inside to test its authenticity. Finding it empty, they sealed it once more, leaving their mark behind, a medieval seal of approval. It was a message from the Middle Ages. But the question remained, what lay beneath? Holding their breath, the scientists lifted the second fractured slab. And then came the moment of truth, the ground zero of Christian history. Before them lay a raw, untouched surface, unpolished bedrock, bare stone, not a mosaic. Before them lay raw, untamed stone, the rough, uncut surface of grey, melicky limestone. This was no decoration. It was the actual burial bench, carved directly into the cliff's bedrock. The very shelf where, according to tradition, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus laid the body of Jesus on the evening of Good Friday, wrapping it in a burial shroud. But one question remained. How could anyone be certain this was the original cave? Jerusalem is a city of ghosts, a city reborn again and again from its own ashes. It has been destroyed to its foundations twice and conquered 44 times. Burned by the Babylonians, leveled by the Roman legions of Titus, plundered by the Persians under Khosrow, ravaged by Arab invasions. In the year 118, the temple burned so intensely that the lead from its dome melted and flowed across the interior. Could anything truly survive such relentless destruction? For decades, skeptics and even respected historians argued that the original burial cave had been completely obliterated. According to medieval chronicles, the volatile Caliph al-Hakim in 1009 ordered the shrine destroyed in a fit of fury. The rock hacked down to its foundation to erase Christianity from memory. Workers were said to have used iron picks, hammers and fire, reducing the stone to rubble. By this view, the tomb seen today was nothing more than a Crusader-era reconstruction, a symbolic replica built on an empty site, a hollow monument. But science delivered an answer that stunned even the most vocal critics. The evidence came from microscopic samples of mortar. What followed became one of the most important archaeological revelations of the decade, published in leading scientific journals. Scientists collected microscopic samples of the mortar that binds the stones of the burial bed to the cave's vertical wall, the very wall preserved for centuries beneath its marble covering. These samples were sent to 2 independent laboratories and analyzed using optically stimulated luminescence dating known as OSL. This technique is one of the quiet marvels of modern physics. It determines the last moment the quartz crystals inside the mortar were exposed to sunlight before being sealed away. In other words, it reveals when the stonework was last open to the world. The results came back months later, after the slab had already been carefully returned and sealed. The date was unmistakable: 345 AD, the 4th century, the age of Emperor Constantine the Great. The moment in history when his mother, Empress Helena, arrived in Jerusalem and launched what many consider the first true archaeological excavation in history. This meant the cave walls we see today, and the stone burial bed itself, are the very same structures Helena uncovered, cleaned, and deliberately preserved. They survived the destruction ordered by Caliph al-Hakim. While he succeeded in collapsing the roof, destroying the entrance, and tearing down the upper portions of the cave, the burial chamber and its lower walls remained hidden beneath the rubble. Even the Romans failed to erase this place. In a twist of history, their attempts to suppress it ended up preserving it instead. The shrine is not symbolic. It is authentic, a 1st century structure built around a real 1st century Jewish tomb. To grasp the true scale of this discovery, one must go even deeper, beneath the feet of today's pilgrims, where history thickens into darkness. Ground-penetrating radar scans of the church floor, conducted after the opening of the edicule during major restoration campaigns in 2019, 2022, and 2023 by the Franciscan custodians, revealed something extraordinary. Beneath the stone floor of the church lies a vast, unsettling void. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre does not rest on solid earth. It stands on the layered ruins of earlier civilizations. And those ruins tell a remarkable story of how Rome tried to erase the memory of Jesus only to preserve it instead. In the 2nd century, after crushing the Bar Kokhba Jewish revolt in 135 AD, Emperor Hadrian set out to wipe Jerusalem from history. He stripped the city of its name and renamed it Aelia Capitolina. Jews were banned from entering, on pain of death. Christianity and Judaism alike were viewed with cold Roman hostility. Hadrian knew through his informants that early Christians secretly venerated a specific place, the site of Jesus' execution and burial, once an abandoned quarry beyond the old city walls. So the emperor devised a ruthless solution. He ordered the entire area buried. Thousands of slaves hauled earth rubble and stone filling the caves and entombing the rocky outcrop of Golgotha beneath layers of debris. The landscape was flattened into a massive artificial platform. On top of it, Hadrian built a towering pagan complex, a temple dedicated to Venus, Aphrodite, and Jupiter Capitolinus. The shrine rose directly above the tomb of Christ. A statue of the nude goddess of love stood over the place Christians believed marked the resurrection. The altar of Jupiter sat where Golgotha had once been exposed. Centuries later, archaeologists excavating beneath the northern rotunda and within the Franciscan galleries uncovered the remains of these Roman walls, massive examples of opus reticulatum masonry. Many of the foundation stones dated back to the Herodian period, reused by Roman builders. Without meaning to, Hadrian became the greatest protector of the Christian sanctuary. By burying the cave beneath tons of compacted earth and sealing it under a heavy concrete foundation, he preserved it. Shielded from erosion, vandalism, wind and rain, the site survived untouched for nearly 3 centuries, waiting to be rediscovered. If not for the Temple of Venus, this place might have vanished into history, buried beneath homes and forgotten. When Empress Helena ordered the pagan temple torn down in 326 AD, she uncovered a landscape frozen in time. A 2023 scan confirmed that the Roman sacred precinct aligns almost perfectly with today's church walls. We walk on Roman concrete that both hid and preserved a biblical story. Long before Rome, this site was an ancient limestone quarry, later abandoned and turned into a cemetery. Rock-cut tombs filled its walls, matching the gospel description exactly. A new tomb carved from stone set in a garden near the city. Scans revealed many nearby burial chambers, showing Jesus was buried not in secrecy, but among Jerusalem's elite. Yet, the discoveries also revealed danger. Beneath the church lies a maze of ancient cisterns, canals, and tunnels filled with water. The massive structure stands not on solid rock, but on debris and voids slowly being eaten away by moisture. Engineers now race to save the sanctuary through a massive underground drainage operation. Science confirmed what faith long claimed. The tomb is empty, but it is real. A 1st century Jewish burial site remembered, buried, rediscovered, and defended across 2,000 years. Layer by layer, stone by stone, history survived. The Holy Sepulchre is not a legend built in the Middle Ages. It is a fragile colossus standing atop the deepest memory of civilization, and we are only beginning to understand what still lies beneath it.